is a movie. It has two sides. So if you want to know the reality of any man's life, you need to see these two sides of that person's life. The private life and the public life. But I must warn you, if you wish to continue being in good terms with that person, you must not see the private aspect of that person. Hello students, Happy New Year to you all. This is the private class with the Millennium Teacher, also known as the Time Class. It is a class that teaches the lessons of life based on facts to transform, inspire, motivate, and educate you about life. You're welcome to class. If you're a newcomer in this class, please enroll by following us on our social media handles. On TikTok at the private class, on Instagram at the Millennium Teacher, on Facebook and YouTube at GMBC Vlog. Now before we proceed with today's lesson, I would like to make something very clear. I am somebody that relates ideas. I use different ideas and relate them to life in order to teach you a lesson. So if you hear me talking about anything that you think might not be of interest to you, don't just conclude so fast. Wait till the end. There is always a lesson I teach at the end of whatever scenario I set. Like I say, life is a movie. You hear me talking about different things that has to do with a movie. It's not a movie that I want to talk about, but I want to use the idea of a movie to teach you a lesson about life. So please, don't get it wrong. I hope that was clear. Now for today's class, we are continuing our lesson from where we stopped last week, which is behind the scenes. And we are going to deal with the two sides of the curtain. Yes, for every stage performance or movie production, there is always a curtain. Stretching from one end of the stage to the other end of the stage, there is always a curtain. And that curtain has two sides. The one side of the curtain is the front of the curtain, known as the stage. It is the visible aspect. And the other side of that curtain is the back, known as the behind the scenes. It is the invisible aspect. Every stage performance, like I said, have two sides, and that curtain divides the two sides. The curtain is there to let you see what is happening now, so that you'll not be able to predict what will happen next. That is why the curtain is there. Because if there is no curtain, you will see what they are doing, the arrangement they are doing to be able to set up the next scene. But because of the curtain, you'll not be able to see what is going to happen next. The lesson we need to learn in today's class is that every story has two sides, behind the scenes and before the scenes. To know the reality of any story, you must see these two sides. But I must warn you, if you wish to enjoy the story, you must not see behind the scenes. That is the fact. Most of the things you see in movies, like I say, are not real. And most of the things that are real, you cannot see. The movie makers only show you what they want you to see, not what you will need to see. So many things happen in the making of a movie, but you don't see them all. They only show you what they want you to see. But if you really want to know how the movie was acted or the reality of that story told in the movie, you will need to see the behind the scenes. Bear in mind that if you watch behind the scene of any story or movie, you are going to lose interest in that story. Yes. Now let us relate that to life. Life is a movie. Every lifestyle we live has two sides. Behind the scenes, known as private, and before the scenes, known as public. There is an invisible aspect of our life known as behind the scenes and a visible aspect known as before the scenes. The part which the public know about us is the movie. The part which they don't know is the behind the scenes. Most of the things about us are not real. We only show and tell people what we want them to see and know about us, not what they need to really know, because we are the actors of the movie called life. So we only show them what we want them to see, not what they need to see. There are secrets about our lives, which if people find out, they will lose interest in us. So there is a curtain that hides our private lives from the public. If it were not so, all our private activities will be exposed to the public. There is a curtain. Life is a movie. It has two sides. So if you want to know the reality of any man's life, you need to see these two sides of that person's life: the private life and the public life. But I must warn you, if you wish to continue doing business, if you wish to continue being in good terms with that person, you must not see behind the scenes. You must not see the private aspect of that person. Life is a movie. We all have a private aspect of our lives and a public aspect of our lives. So this takes us to the end of the class for today, and we hope to continue our lesson next week by the grace of God. We'll continue from where we stop. Please be in class and invite others to join us in learning the lessons of life based on facts. I hope you are able to learn something from today's lesson. Till we meet again in the next class, I have been your teacher, Solomon Joseph Kekura. Class dismissed.